September 2025, Nepal was shaken by one of the biggest youth uprisings in its recent history. What began as a simple ban on social media apps soon spiraled into deadly protests, a prime minister's resignation, and global questions about the future of democracy in South Asia. To really understand what happened, let's rewind a little. Nepal has had a turbulent political journey. Since the monarchy was abolished in 2008, the country has seen 13 different prime ministers in just 15 years. Governments collapse frequently, corruption scandals are a routine, and millions of young Nepalis are forced to migrate abroad for work. The World Bank estimates that unemployment among Nepali youth hovers around 20%, one of the highest in South Asia. So when the government announced on September 4th, 2025, that 26 major social media platforms including Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, WhatsApp, Reddit and X would be banned unless they're registered locally, it struck a nerve. Only TikTok and Viber remained online because they complied with the government's demands, as reported by The Guardian and AP News. Officials claimed the move was about regulation and security, but critics argued it was simply censorship, especially since a controversial new digital law was being drafted to give the state more control over online speech. This decision lit the spark. On September 8, thousands of young people, mostly Gen Z, took to the streets of Kathmandu and other cities. Many of them grew up online and they already felt betrayed by a political system dominated by old leaders and Nepo kid politicians. As Time magazine explained, this generation faces joblessness, inequality, and limited opportunities. So, when their digital lifeline was cut off, the anger turned into a movement. The protests began peacefully with slogans like "Shut down corruption, not social media." But the response was brutal. Police used water cannons, tear gas, rubber bullets, and even live rounds. According to Al Jazeera, at least 19 people were killed and hundreds injured in just one day. Human Rights Watch condemned the police for excessive and lethal force against largely unarmed youth. In retaliation, protesters set fire to government buildings, including the Singha Darbar complex, which houses parliament and even the prime minister's residence. Homes of senior political leaders were attacked. The home minister resigned, accepting the responsibility for these violent crackdowns. By September 9th, the government realized the crisis was spiraling out of control. Communications Minister Prithvi Suba announced that the social media ban was lifted and promised compensation for victims and free medical treatment for the injured. A 15-day investigation panel was formed to probe the violence. But by this point, the protests were no longer just about social media. They had become a generational rebellion against corruption and inequality. The political pressure became unbearable. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli resigned the very same day, saying the country needed a political solution rather than more bloodshed. Crowds celebrated his departure, storming parts of parliament and chanting, "We won." The president, Ramchandra Paudel, appealed for calm, while even the Nepalese army urged dialogue instead of confrontation. Now, why does this matter for the region, especially India? First, the human link. Nepal and India share an open border, and millions of Nepalis live and work in India. Political instability in Kathmandu has a direct impact on cross-border trade, tourism, and migration. Second, geopolitics. Nepal sits strategically between India and China. Whenever Nepal faces a political vacuum, Beijing tries to expand its influence, whether through infrastructure, investments, or political alliances. For New Delhi, instability in Nepal is always a red flag. Third, the democratic lesson. What happened in Nepal is not an isolated story. Across South Asia, freedom of expression and digital rights are under pressure. The Nepal protests show that when youth feel excluded, unemployed, and silenced online, they can mobilize quickly and shake entire governments. The bigger picture is this: Nepal's Gen Z is not fighting just to scroll Instagram again. They are fighting for jobs, accountability, and a political system that listens to them. Many activists believe the rollback of the ban is only the first step, and that deeper reforms are needed to restore trust in Nepal's institutions. To sum it all up, a social media ban triggered Nepal's biggest youth uprising in years, leaving 19 people dead, hundreds injured, a prime minister out of office, and a country asking hard questions about its future. For India and the region, it's a reminder that young voices cannot be silenced forever, whether on TikTok, Instagram, or the streets of Kathmandu. When a generation wants to be heard, they will find a way. This was Manpreet on Quick Projects, explaining Nepal's Gen Z uprising. If this gave you clarity, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more such unbiased deep dives. Until next time, keep questioning.